everyone, Victor is here. Today is day 25 of Direct Watercolor Challenge, and I'm at this train depot near my house. I'll sketch these trains that are behind me. I'm starting with wet-on-wet technique. The paper, it seems that already dried a bit, so I'll reactivate it with this spray bottle. I'm re-wetting the paper. Today is a cloudy day, so I'll include some of clouds in my sketch. What I am trying to remember myself and trying to do every time is to not use very many brush strokes. With this purple mixture of blue and red, I'm adding the darker clouds on still wet surface. This is an excellent technique for clouds, wet on wet. When the colors merge naturally on paper, you don't need to intervene too much. I tend to buy too many art materials, and I rarely use them to their full potential. I guess I can call myself an art material hoarder. Thanks to this 30 by 30 watercolor challenge, I'm learning more about these three main tools for watercolor: the paper, the paint, and the brush. The paints are Daniel Smith essential watercolor set. There are only 6 colors, but from my experience it's better to start with less colors and to learn them how to mix them properly, to see how they act, how they granulate. Every paint has its own characteristics. Also, with less color choice, you can come with creative solutions, how to use them effectively in certain situations. Now with the wet brush, I'm dragging next to the previous stroke and just touching it a bit. The color will spread down. The brush also is very important. Now I'm using a synthetic brush that acts like a natural hair brush, but it's less expensive and no animal was hurt in manufacturing it. It's important how the brush holds water, how it releases it. I used to use watercolor water brushes, but I noticed that I cannot do all the techniques as I'm doing with this traditional brush. So even though the water brush is very portable and handy, even they have a cap, I would recommend this traditional brush. You can pack it with a piece of paper with rubbers at the ends, so it not lose its shape. It's important to keep this sharp point of the brush. With very thick paint, I'll pull the brush without much water. This is dry technique. Ideally, you should wait until the paper dries, but now I'm in a hurry, so I'll do on the previous layer. Another effective technique with watercolor is splattering. With another brush or a stick, you just can add this effect to your sketch. The paper is also very important. It doesn't need to be the most expensive paper. Ideally, for watercolor, cotton-made paper is the best, but it's very expensive. Yet there are some sorts of paper, like this one, is cellulose type, made by Hahnemühle, is excellent for learning, and it has almost the same properties as cotton paper. You can do wet on wet technique. It holds a lot of water. It doesn't buckle. It has compared to other cotton-made papers. I noticed that this paper is whiter. It has a brighter white than other papers, so you can make very contrasting sketches. With thick and dark paint, I'm adding depth and contrast to the sketch. With watercolor, it is always advisable to start with light washes. Then later on you can add contrast and to make it darker, because when it dries lighter, and you can preserve the transparency of watercolor. With a small brush, I am adding the details. At this stage, it's important to not overwork. Another technique to make that sketch more interesting, and it's a fun one, it's to drop some water. This is the quick sketch done on this train depot on day 25 of Direct Watercolor Challenge. Thank you for watching. Bye!